Greetings. My name is Dr. Kristen Antoine-Morse, and I will be speaking to you today about cultural misunderstandings in the classroom. Before I get started, I'd like to give you a brief introduction. I am a proud graduate of Louisiana State University, where I studied curriculum and instruction. While doing my Ph.D. research, I was looking into the school to prison pipeline, and I was able to have multiple conversations with individuals who were incarcerated and did not finish school. We had many conversations about their school experience from middle through high school and how some of that may have played a role in how they became incarcerated. While doing this study, I actually got a chance to look at culture and diversity and look at how classroom environments can sometimes be set up for students to fail, where some discipline issues were really just cultural issues that could have been addressed instead of a student starting down the road to an incarcerated future. With that being said, let's talk about cultural misunderstandings. Now, cultural misunderstandings often occur in a classroom environment because of cultural norms that are ingrained within a student or a teacher or administration. These things come from the home environment, the community, and heritage. I currently work as an assistant principal, so there are also oftentimes cultural misunderstandings that can happen between administration and teachers, as well as teachers and students. It is our job as educators to teach situational appropriateness. This is where we look at certain situations and we don't deem them as discipline problems, but we look at them as situations that can be changed to fit the classroom environment. Many cultural misunderstandings stem from people not being able to adjust to that. Often, these interactions happen within the classroom, and teachers and students are unaware that they're even going on. In this portion of your course, we're going to look at multiple scenarios that could cause cultural misunderstandings. Now, we're going to discuss those possible misunderstandings as well as surmise possible solutions. So before you get started, what I'm going to do is go over one particular situation that I think is something that people don't focus on regularly. Now, let's look at one scenario. We have a student and a teacher. The student is an Asian American female, 9th grade, 14 years old, who does not speak English well and also comes from a low socioeconomic background. And we also have a teacher who is a Caucasian American male who comes from a middle class, an upper middle class background, speaks English well, and is very in tune with what he does in his classroom and interacting with his students. Now, this looks like just a normal combination, but sometimes those things can come together in certain areas and clash. Now, imagine a situation where the student is sitting at her desk and the teacher wants to discuss with her something that has to do with a paper she turned in. He goes over to her desk and has a conversation and decides to prompt her to have interaction. The student refuses to look up from her paper to have the conversation with the teacher. The teacher gets frustrated and furious because the student will not look him in the eyes. So he asks her, would she please look at him while he's speaking to her? But the student, still afraid and not necessarily all the way familiar with the English language, will not look up from her paper to look at him in the face. Well, in his frustration, the teacher decides that he's going to give her a write-up to administration. And that write-up could be from anything from willful disobedience to not participating in class, and ultimately affect the child's discipline as well as her grades. But what we're not looking at here is culture. In some Asian American cultures, students are taught that it is disrespectful to look at their superior in the eye. So when he came over to her desk and her not necessarily being clear on his language or what he's asking of her, she knows from her experience not to look him in the eye because that would be the thing that would be most disrespectful. So she continues to look down instead of looking at him. In this situation, this could have totally been avoided. Why? Because the teacher could have had a moment to think about the culture of this student in his classroom. Also, if the student had some type of aide or assistant in the classroom, they could have helped to explain this to her so that she could have looked at him and abided by what he needed. But the situation seems simple, and it's something that would have been blown out of proportion. With that being said, how do we solve those type of things? We solve those type of things by the teacher learning about their students. When this student entered his class, especially as an English language learner, he should have been made privy to information about her culture and background so that he could make the adjustments that he needed to make in order to better service her. Also, as it pertains to the school and the student should be made aware or be taught situational appropriateness. In the situation of a classroom, when a teacher is asking for your information and wants you to look at them, it is appropriate for her to look at him in the eyes. Now, this situation is just one of many that could happen in a classroom. And this is just four of multiple levels of things that could be happening or could be cultural clashes. So, moving forward, I'd like you to look at these next examples. Take your time. Like I said before, discuss the possible misunderstandings that could happen between these people, as well as surmise possible solutions. So, what could be the clash and how do we fix it? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your course.